one of the pieces that really spoke to me, and this is about how far I got in the book, but it's just the use, the commodity, the economic importance of Black women's bodies from slavery to today. Love it.
How you doing, boo?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Just had some coffee.
Oh, are you ready to bounce off the walls?
Getting there. My tolerance has gone up, so I got to have 3 shots now. Used to be 2.
I'm so excited. I don't know why. I feel like come to the dark side.
Ooh, bad. I'm like, ooh. And I notice a difference if I don't have my coffee. Ooh, child.
What is it? Headaches, irritability? What is it? All of it.
Hating life.
hate.
Can't move. Be feeling paralyzed, like I'm dying.
I love coffee. I can't. Life. What is life without coffee? I don't know.
I'm gonna treat myself to an espresso machine at this point. I mean, because when you add it up, spending $5 a day and stuff or more on
to
coffee,
go buy it. Yeah.
Might as well get an espresso machine.
Dang,
make my own lattes.
I'd be too lazy to do it. That's my problem.
It got to be one that's easy to clean and stuff. One of those little 1 cup or something. I got to do some research. I'm excited though. I feel alive. Like a drug.
How sad.
I didn't take my medication today yet.
It's the little things in life, right? It's the little things. Keep it simple. Yep. So what's up? What are we talking about?
Oh, it's Black History Month.
Oh, it is?
How are you celebrating?
I feel like it's a joke. I mean,
yes.
Part of me feels bad saying that though, because like you grew up like it was a thing. We are going to learn about some people we didn't know about, all this stuff. But
we used to always joke, why is it the shortest month? I mean, there was a reason. I forgot. I don't even know. But I'm so sick of this mess. Oh my God. I don't know if you follow Broken Traditions on YouTube.
Yep.
But he posted a couple of videos of the police departments making their cars in the color, like with African flags on it and stuff, with African colors, talking about Black History Month, and got the fist on it and got map of Africa.
The police, though? The police,
yes. It was like in Ohio and Florida. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, that's a joke. Like, this month is a joke. It's a joke.
But it's like, you're going to go through all that. How about you just stop killing us?
Yes.
How about that?
Exactly.
For the month of February. I mean.
Train people to stop killing people and getting their fragile egos out of control instead of putting lipstick on a pig. What's that going to do?
Lipstick on a pig. But it's 2023. I'm still seeing stories about schools and workplaces serving fried chicken and watermelon in celebration or whatever. Yes.
What? Oh my God! I thought.
And then people want to be like,
what's wrong with that though?
We don't need,
What's wrong with chicken and watermelon though? What's the problem?
Nothing is wrong with it. Nothing is wrong with it because it is all delicious. But for you to still be associating that with blackness is fried chicken. Blackness is, you know what I mean? Like it's lazy. For one, it's lazy, and I think it's tone deaf because it's.
Ooh, that's like a not negative people's first language.
Well, I don't know, but I think it's come on. I don't know.
If that's all you're doing, then yeah, I think it's a problem. But if it's part of a bit larger program, I don't see, like, I'm not embarrassed. If I ate chicken, I would be effing it up. I used to love me some fried chicken. I can't wait to try the Atlas Monroe.
Why is that? When I think about it, we have Cinco de Mayo and people eating tacos. Nobody's upset. So what is the history? There's a history or something about it.
We ate scraps.
Caricature. There's a caricature of Black people eating watermelon. There's like a black face. There's something attached to it.
With the seeds falling out.
Yes, right? Like, so there's a negative connotation. And for you to be organizing events, we used to organize events. You don't just start I don't know what to do, chicken and waffles on this day or whatever. Like, that's lazy. Have soul food. Bring in some soul food. Like, do something.
A catering company, support a Black business.
A Black catering company. Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't be bringing like Popeyes up in here.
It's Black History Month. It's that, as people from our different cultures, maybe try something new we haven't even heard of before. Like, I don't really know much about like the Gullah Geechee or whatever down in the Carolinas and the island off the, like, I don't know anything about them. I'd love to learn more about them. You know, what they eating down there. They eat a lot of like Caribbean similar food. I don't know, food similar to Caribbean food. So like, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's just lazy to always focus on food or even first. I'm so goddamn sick of these first. Like, I'm scared. This was the first person to do this. And we still here. We still getting beaten peeled.
Tell me the second, third, fourth, fifth.
Yeah.
You know, because you have a first and then you won't have another one. Period.
Exactly. You know, like, what am I supposed to be proud about? What doors did they open up?
Right. They opened it and it's shut right behind them. Not that they did it intentionally, but society said no more. Oh, Barack Obama. Okay, no more. We don't. Cory Booker, get out of here. All these other Black people trying to run for, get out of here.
Right.
We had enough of you for a millennia or a century.
You gotta have the same. You gotta have the same mind. You got Ben Carson, dang surgeon, Lord. And now he's getting canceled because he was a Trump supporter. It's like all of his accomplishments as a doctor are just out the door because of his politics.
So he's being canceled as a doctor.
He's being canceled as a figure from Detroit. Like, the school is taking his name off and everything. And
well, I mean, I think I can't speak to his medical experience, whatever, but like, you put a microphone in front, he sounds dumb. And so it makes me feel like, as smart as you may be with a scalpel and doing your thing, you don't sound like someone I want cutting into my head. Like, so maybe you shouldn't be on that level, that platform. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious.
Girl.
Yes.
Girl.
Yes.
Girl. Oh my God. I can't hurt. I'm trying to formulate it in my brain. Remember we were talking about that guy in Georgia? It's always the Republicans having these inarticulate, like, people who
Herschel Walker
are not capable. And maybe that's why they believe. Ain't nobody talking to
I like to be tripped.
Like, they're the ones picking people who aren't capable. So maybe that's in their head, that you're not capable. Like, why not have him be the Surgeon General? Why he directing HUD? What do you know about HUD? Obviously nothing. Like, I don't get it. So
that's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, and it just goes to show. And you sent something about, like, how people were saying America is code word for white.
Yep. TikTok be spitting facts and all kind of stuff. It's Black History Month, and there was this white woman who was trying to elevate a Black content creator who was saying that the only people who are allowed to be American are white people. And follow me here with this, because at first I was like, oh, what is she about to say? Like, but there's Asian American, African American, Indian American, Mexican American.
I don't go by African American.
But when you say, I'm just Black, but when you say American, it's a white person. There's no modifier. There's no qualifier. There's no nothing. Yeah.
And sometimes Italian or Irish, sometimes.
But I mean, when? Really? If you just look at somebody, I don't know. But when you say American, it's a white. We don't say European American. We should start saying it. European American, because when you say American, it's white. And then she wove in a clip of Trump saying, like, we need to protect American schools and American children by eliminating CRT so that American parents have choice. And that looks like America is anti teaching about race, teaching about other cultures. And so it kind of solidifies this idea that American is white, right? And we're trying to protect our white children and giving white parents choice in schools. It's crazy. It's crazy because for the longest time, I didn't see this stuff. I didn't think deep enough to, maybe I wasn't woke or whatever you want to call it. But now it's like, these are dog whistles. This is coded language, whether or not people want to accept it or acknowledge it, that lets you know we are all other. This is not our country, even though it was built on the backs of our ancestors. Okay. But what's important is American children, white children, not feeling uncomfortable in schools, white parents being able to say, I don't want my child to learn about your history, this Black history. And I feel like looking at the school my kids are in, or a lot of schools, Black history has gone away. Like, it's not what it used to be. We're not celebrating.
Was it ever there?
Well, I feel like the kids would have to learn about Rosa Parks. They would have to learn about, like, very simple. And as you got older, you learned about, nonviolent protest. And I think you learned about, I learned about it, not in great detail, but there was some nod
little blurb,
Blackness in these 28 days. And I feel like that's not happening now. Yeah, MLK is the only, but I feel like that's not happening now. There's no celebration. Aside from Target having some funky clothing line in the front of the store or something,
and Apple Loops.
Right. And so I think maybe because it's become a greater conversation throughout the year, like always we're talking about this. I think, organizations like BLM or, I don't know what the NAACP is doing these days, but like people are talking about race more, just as a general conversation throughout the year, that maybe Black History Month is becoming obsolete. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Like maybe it's just becoming like we're understood that we are integral to this country and that it's more than just a month. They always wanted to do something performative, give you a holiday, put up a month, decorate a car, give you a statue. But now I think it's time, like you said, BLM, people are thinking more deeply about this stuff and saying, we need to change the systems that are in place, because this is all cute and all, but what is that actually doing to change anything? And it's not doing anything. Like even with the othering, like you even said other, like we're American too. We're not other, we're American too. Like
if anything, the 1619 Project, I've been trying to read this book, but I watched it on Hulu. It's even more apparent that the only true Americans, I mean, aside obviously from indigenous people who have been here since forever, this is their land, but the only true Americans are Black Americans.
Yeah.
Like they were brought here clean slate, no culture. I mean, it was wiped away. Culture, language, all that.
We developed a culture here.
We created ourselves here. Yes. So
that's why I don't like African American. I never did, because I always felt that like that's not a new concept about saying, oh, that's othering us, because it kind of felt like it was taking away my American identity. That's what I identify with. I've been to Northern Africa. I've never been to Sub-Saharan Africa. I'm just learning all of that stuff through, ancestry and things like that. I felt like to call us African American was, I think, during that Pan-African time when people wanted like back to Africa and all of this and pride, but it backfired, and it was more like othering us and separating us from being American. Now, like you said, people are like, oh, we're the true Americans. We gotta.
Yeah. And I think that there are some people who I know they came from Africa by way of the Caribbean, etc., but they would identify more closely with like Haitian American or I don't know, Jamaican American, something from the Caribbean, even though all of the people there came from Africa as well. I just think it discounts cultures and it discounts who we are. I mean, it's just a blanket like, okay, you're African American now. I mean, I don't know. It feels like an apology.
I don't even check it.
I mean, it feels like an apology. I guess it's better than colored or Negro. I don't know. Is it? I don't know.
I'm proud to be colored with a Negro, whatever you want to call it.
Ain't that some shit? I said, ain't that some shit? Oh, ain't that some shit? Ain't that some shit? Goddamn.
I think the current state of Black History Month is another example of how everything begins at home. Ultimately, as parents, it is your job to teach your children their history, to make them know who they are and have a sense of pride as they walk through this earth, knowing that they are not the beginning and they are not the end, that they have a rich history and that they are contributing to a stronger future. And the problem is we're giving all of that to schools and they're saying here's a piece of chicken and the first person to have done something. And that's what they're going into the world with. And I think that's why we have a lot of people who don't have a sense of self, because it's not coming from home. Everything starts at home.
So what do you think about this 1619? They keep trying to get me to watch it. It keeps popping up.
Well, I mean, I've been trying to read this book. I love to read. And in my life, in the last 10 years, reading has just been impossible. I can't just sit down and read. Like there's always something going on. So I'm grateful that that they put it up in like a visual format that I can just have on in the background or whatever. But I mean, there's a lot of information there to unpack. And I think that there's a lot of pushback because there's too much information there. Like there's a lot of people who don't want you learning these things. And I think as Black women, one of the pieces that really spoke to me, and this is about how far I got in the book, but is just the use, the commodity, the economic importance of Black women's bodies from slavery to today, and the trauma that the I guess economic use of female slave bodies that has been transferred through generations. And I feel like that might be why we're having a lot of issues, one, just with medical care, but also just like there's trauma. There's a trauma there. We were used as breeding
stock animals or whatever.
Yeah, but they talked about siring slaves, which is disgusting language, I feel like, because that's what you do with animals. But
what does that mean?
Like they would pick the strongest male slave, and they would pick the strongest female, whatever, and they would literally lock them up and say, okay, until there's signs of pregnancy, y'all can't come out this room. Never mind that they may be married to somebody else, because slaves had families, they had connections, they loved, they had emotions, they weren't animals. And so could you imagine being put in that situation? You have a husband, you have had your ceremony, you jumped a broom with this man, and then you get put in a space with another man, and you can't, or you get whooped, you get beat, you get whatever. It's the dehumanization, it's torture. That was torture. And so just to hear about it,
worse stuff than that happened too, butt breaking and all that stuff. But there was a infographic. You gotta watch it if you're interested in like the information and stuff. But there was they stopped importing slaves from Africa at a certain point. And that's why we're the original Americans.
But at that point, for the next few years, the number of slaves increased exponentially, like, because that's when the rape really took place, as far as we need to increase our productivity, our whatever. And so, that's when you start getting all the mixed kids, and you get the rape, and, the masters were looking for signs of sexual maturity in the young girls. And that's when, it's disgusting, but I think people need to see it, because I guarantee there's a lot of people who don't know this stuff, who can't be bothered to know it, can't be bothered to know it, the
atrocities Black people have been through, it's outrageous. Like, even, being circus acts and being just there for people's consumption. Remember Venus Hottentot and all these things, like just the dehumanization of it. And this may be controversial, I don't care, but it's like the Holocaust happened, 80 years ago, I don't know. But we're always hearing about that every year, it's so people got reparations and everything. But you bring up slavery, that was a long time ago. Just don't throw that behind your back. Don't worry about that. Like it's led to so much, and we wonder why there's the divide in the Black community, why the Black family is degenerated, why there are so many different health problems in the Black community, why there's so many incarceration. But that's all our fault. But things that have happened sooner, the encampment, the Japanese internment, all these different things. Such a tragedy. But this ongoing series of oppression and torture, we're just supposed to just blow it off, dust it off.
I'm glad you brought, controversial or not, I'm glad you brought up the Holocaust, because I feel like there is a level of respect that is missing. And I think that may be because of American culture in general.
Yep.
Because in Germany, they have said sorry. They have paid reparations to survivors of the Holocaust and their families.
In the United States too.
They are trying to do everything to rectify this stain on that country. Whereas we just don't give a shit here. We really don't. There are people literally waving Confederate flags around like it's pride. This is my history. Okay, well, how about our history? Whatever your history is, in quotes, whatever you think your history is with this Confederate flag, like, let's think about what it is you're signaling by waving that flag. Let's think about, because there's a resurgence, or maybe these people are just coming to the forefront now and have been elevated because they've been given a microphone to talk about their hatred. But this white supremacy, this idea that there is an actual physical, mental, intellectual difference, which come on, look at the people who are, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever. But just the idea that that is acceptable. Like you said, just brush it off your shoulder. But it's so fucking horrible, the things that happened here, that white people or whoever's in charge, governments, whatever, can't just stop and say, just make a clear statement. This fucking was terrible. Not all of us today are responsible. Nobody today is responsible for that.
Yeah,
but we can
don't sit there apologizing and putting a kente cloth on and shit.
Kneeling down, Pelosi,
like a fool.
but the idea is, and this is the culture part that I'm struggling with or irritated by, is that white people have a guilt, and it's like, no one told you to feel that guilt. You didn't do it. Okay, you didn't do. I don't understand that, and that's why there's a disconnect when.
And then you end up coddling them because you can't talk about it.
Right. So again, another thing to put on my back that I got to do. You know what I mean? Like, but it's. We can't just have a conversation about this is actual history. This is what happened. We're not making white kids feel bad. We're just sharing information that Black kids have had to know that they're this whole time. Like, I don't understand why it's always white kids and Black kids. Like, it's everybody's history. So everybody carry this weight.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, and if you feel some type of way, some kind of guilt, then maybe you need to figure, you and your parents or whoever need to have a conversation. Because there shouldn't be guilt. There should be acknowledgement. That's all that I think anybody's asking for. Acknowledge it. And how do we move forward to make it equitable and equal?
Exactly.
Period.
I
don't know. But that's not happening this month because we don't do that.
It's not ever happening. But it's almost like it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick to control, because everything is brought
placate
into a racial lens. Anything that happens, Tyrone can go and shoot Mookie Boo.
Oh, not Tyrone and Mookie Boo.
and nobody cares. But as soon as, Redneck, kills
Ahmaud Arbery. Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's like, oh my God, this is outrageous. This is outrageous. It isn't murder outrageous, period. Or I'm not trying to get them off, but I'm just making a playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah. I also think it's disingenuous when we talk about, like, white cops or white people killing Black people. I mean, there's obviously a historical implication, but then the response is always like, well, how about Black on Black crime? And it's like, well, how about white on white crime? The majority of people kill. So don't tell me about Black on Black crime when y'all doing the same thing to your own people. We're talking about the racially motivated, the hate motivated stuff based off the history of this country. And so I think that they're just talking to distract from this larger conversation that we seem to want to dance around and don't want to have, because we don't want white people to feel guilty.
I feel like it's just trying to distract from the problems in the community. If we don't care about people killing themselves within, like, the inner city, and children killing children, men killing, like femicide is up, all the kind of stuff is up. And it's just like, if we just deflect and talk about race, then we don't have to really address these things that are actually due to systemic racism.
Well, you have to acknowledge that there is systemic racism. And I think that's the first step that everybody's trying to push back on. They don't want to talk. Nobody wants to have a national conversation, understanding, agreement upon one simple fact. Because I think that's a fear. That's a fear of loss of power. If they can acknowledge that there's a system at play that is giving them an advantage, that they lose power, they lose their status, they lose their privilege.
Yep, and that's the drug.
And that's the buzzword. Right, that's the word. You say that word, the conversation is over.
What happened to the Black church? They're everywhere, but
what happened to
poorly
church?
Attended? We still got Al Sharpton. Like, the churches are here, but it's nothing but, like, the elderly who were back in the day already doing it. They're not as influential in the community. People are shooting right outside. We just had one right outside, not too far from a church. There needs to be some kind of leadership, because that's how humans function. We can't just do this all in the, like, BLM started and was taken. I mean, I don't taken over by, feels like,
I don't know enough about BLM to speak on it, but I just know that they're, the big name of whatever. That's
the big name. And I don't know anything, like, who's actually financing. Like, I was seeing, like, Candace Owens did her thing where she was saying, like, how they
buying houses or something.
Yeah, buying houses, financing sex work, which I don't see the problem.
Sex work.
Yeah, you have to watch the Candace Owens thing.
No, I don't. I really don't. No, thank you.
But it was just like, you always got, like, I always like to follow the money. Like I know NAACP is white founded, white finance was like I don't know now, but we're missing a leadership in the community because I know we're all different. We're not a monolith, but the way people operate is we have to have a leader. That's how we operate, a face to symbolize the struggle what you're going through. That's why we had Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, all these different people. They kind of fell through. Jesse Jackson was out cheating on people. Like he did do some things, like he did do some international peacekeeping type stuff. But as far as race, like Rainbow Coalition, like I don't really know of any accomplishment. Al Sharpton, I think, has a book out I need to read to see his accomplishments, but just looking at Harlem today, I'm seeing Black people being kicked out and priced out of Harlem. So I'm not sure, I would like to see what his accomplishments are, like going and praying with families after a problem happens. That's all fine and dandy, but how are we going to stop the problem from continuing to happen?
Yeah. I think that's what I'm observing more so is just reaction to police shootings. That's what the movement, or whatever you want to call it, has become. It's just it's a civil rights violation, obviously, but there is no cohesive message of like, hey, these are the rights like the Voting Rights Act got gutted. Like, what are we doing to get that piece back together? What are we doing to ensure that our collective history is taught in schools? Because there's a leader on the other side. You know, Ron DeSantis is very vocal. Trump has been very vocal. You've got all the riffraff that's in Congress now, Martin Taylor Greene, all these people talking about CRT like they have any idea I feel like that's just a name they gave to any race teaching, about others, right? So it's like we can learn about, the colonies and the Pilgrims and all this wonderful stuff, and we're just, it's glorified. Thanksgiving was beautiful, but when we want to talk about real history, this is a conversation I've gotten into just in our family, and having this discussion about how disgusted I am and how upset I am about how we are lying to our kids. Because I feel like we were lied to, and now we're growing up and like, whoa, getting information, real truth is like mind-blowing, world-shattering.
Well, that's your job as a parent.
Right.
If they're not doing it, then that's your job as a parent.
Right. But what are they like? It's almost like, the what we were talking about earlier about giving American parents the choice in schools. Sure, I could tell my kids all the stuff, and I am telling my kids all the stuff about Indigenous people, what happened when we got here, slavery, et cetera, like, telling them stories. But then they go and sit in a classroom for however long. And I'm not saying this is happening at my kids' school, but I know this is happening at schools where they're getting a whitewashed history. They're not getting what truly happened. They're not understanding. And I know they're not understanding because I'm looking in their faces as I'm telling them about how things have happened, sitting at separate lunch counters, how their papa, my dad experienced X, Y, and Z. What? Separate water fountains, separate bathrooms? Are you like, it's such a foreign concept, which is great that they don't know about it. And
even private schools?
But to know about it
is worse?
I mean, they're not.
Is it worse?
It's the same.
From when
it's
you
the
went?
Same. Oh, I went to private school, but I feel like the 80s were just it hit different. I don't know what's going on right now, but I feel like we learned stuff in the 80s. We had to read Malcolm X. Like, I don't know that kids are reading Malcolm X.
Yeah.
They're not reading.
Like,
they're not. I mean, or
do a TikTok on Malcolm X, y'all.
Or I remember we had to memorize I Have a Dream speech, which is like, to me, is also a watered down version of who MLK was, because towards the end there, he was getting pretty angry. And he was more than,
that's why I'm
having a dream. We need to action now, Yep. So people don't know that. And or people, I think Rosa Parks was just tired, like, it's just like,
Is that why we don't have any leaders though? Is because they're always going to assassinate them somehow?
Well, they are.
So it has to be somebody willing to be assassinated and recorded by the FBI and all these. You got to just be willing to take that on. And people are loving it, loving the glam and glitz of going and complaining and doing nothing. I don't know.
That's what it feels like. It feels like a lot of I mean, we sit here and bitch about stuff.
Doing
like,
nothing.
what are we doing? Like,
hey, I tried to teach.
But then what can we do? I mean, I'm educating my children, but like, it's what can you do? I don't even know what you can do. Maybe some of the listeners can let us know. What are y'all doing? Like, I don't know. What can you
steps
do?
are you taking? Yeah,
because we all bitching about it. Yeah,
yeah.
But we're all complaining though. We're having conversations.
You can say
online,
go. You can
etc.
You can say go to the polls and all this stuff, and we're just constantly not. I'm saying we, but I don't mean me. But just electing people who don't do anything and don't make any change. They're comfortable in the poverty. They're comfortable in people not advancing. They're comfortable in the violence, and it's. I don't know. So I get to the point. I think for me, I'm not even gonna lie, of apathy.
Yeah, I just worry about my own life.
Yeah, I got to worry about my own life. I ain't even, trying to be here. I'm just up here working every day for the man. It's just like, no, not for the man, but like you got to pay taxes. You got to do all these things for what benefit? How do we make sure that the kids? Because it's all about, for me, it's all about the kids, because they're the ones who are going to be dealing with any kind of mess we create, just like we're dealing with the mess boomers created. So. Give them a sense of pride, like Whitney said.
Okay.
And
teach them well and let them lead the way, right?
Yeah. Not, here's some.
That's true.
Go write a paragraph. Like they need that sense of pride, and I think that's just like I was saying earlier, it's got to be taught by the parents, because schools aren't going to do that, and they're not. It's not being taught by the parents, so kids get out there and have this low self-esteem. I was just we talked about the natural hair. I was just saying how, like, all these awards show, all these reality shows, you never see a Black woman with natural hair. Why is that so embarrassing? And we have these little girls who say, I hate my hair. Why is my hair so nappy? And it's sad. The sense of pride is gone. Little boys don't feel, we dealt with that. Oh, Lord. Yeah. We dealt with that recently on a live.
You don't listen, so we can say whatever we want.
Right? We're dealing with the after effects of little boys not feeling love from their fathers. And so it's just like, how do we build this pride in kids? And I think that's why I taught. I wanted to try to make a difference. And so whatever I do is going to be with kids, because that's where it starts. But to go home and deal with the fuggery. So it's like, and then I go back to the apathy. So I have no idea what to do. I'm just going to complain and do nothing. I'm just trying to make it through every day, one day at a time. That's all.
Well, I think that's it's frustrating, because I see on the opposite side, they're doing a lot. You know what I mean? They're not just complaining, they're doing a lot. And so it's like, we have to step it up. And I don't know how to do that. There's a lot of people there's a lot of people talking. There's some bullshit Marjorie Taylor Greene said the other day about some school in Illinois supposedly receiving $5.1 billion to one school, $5.1 billion to implement CRT.
What?
That's what? How are you going to have people just up there lying, making up stuff? Oh, they received X amount of dollars for drag queens to cover. Really? The government is paying for schools to have drag queens? Really?
Like, what is that about? I've been seeing that a bunch of drag queens in the library kind of thing. What's that about?
I mean, they've had that. It's been previous school. Yeah, it's been a thing. I don't understand why we doing it. Why?
Yeah,
why
I don't understand the drag queen.
I don't understand that at all, or what the messaging, or what the.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
I don't get that either. I don't care either way.
I didn't go to my first drag show till I was in my 20s.
but I don't understand why we're doing that. And then why we're defensive of it. Like, I don't understand why a first grade class is being read to by drag queens. I don't understand it. I don't care though. You can read to my kindergartner. I don't care. Like, I don't care who reads. Somebody read to my children, right? I don't care. It's a beautiful thing that things are normalized. Like, I went to a doctor's appointment, and the medical assistant for my children was talking to me about something, and was talking about her wife and how they went on a trip or whatever. And it's normal, as it should be. My kids didn't think anything of it, nothing. But I feel like in some circles, some places, had she been speaking freely about her relationship and her vacation that she took, that sounded amazing, some parents would freak out. And it's like, why?
That's sad. We've been like that. My family, at least. That was always normal to me.
Yeah, well, because I feel like every family has that has that level of diversity in their family. There is somebody in everybody's family who is gay or a lesbian or bisexual or questioning or transitioning or something. So I don't understand I don't understand. I don't understand why that's such a taboo thing either. Whatever. Or why kids can't know about it.
The other side, like when you're saying, I guess the right, when you say like they have specific things, I think, like, first of all, Black people aren't all liberal or Democrat, one.
Right.
Second, there's climate change, there's LGBTQ, there's gas stoves, like,
oh Lord, red balloons in the sky.
We just got all kind of stuff, and so I feel like there needs to be a Black coalition. It's obviously not Black Lives Matter. I mean, we could found it if we want. I don't know how that works. There needs to be a Black coalition for change. We need to get out there, get people out there. You need lobbyists. You need people with influence. Yeah. You need people
David Hogg
with money.
And those kids from Parkland can create organizations that are affecting change as far as gun legislation. Like a couple of Black women, I'm sure, can get their heads together and make some shit happen, as we do. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's something we could look into. We could reach out to our listeners.
A listener.
and see if we could come up with some stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's not hard to do, I don't think. I mean, it just takes work. And that's something.
And money.
But it takes work to get the money is what I would say.
Exactly.
Yeah, it definitely takes money. Definitely takes money. But I don't know. But it's Black History Month, and it feels like any other month.
Yeah. Just put a sign up. Oh, this is somebody, and here, this is Black History Month. Go have some chicken.
I want to go into my kids' classrooms and see is anything, because at least put a picture of somebody up or something. I doubt it. I know, but I mean, these kids, like, to see them, to see, like, I remember growing up, there would be the bulletin board would become Black History Month.
Michael Jordan.
I would learn about, Michael Jordan, MLK, Malcolm X, Rosa Parks. You would have, I don't know who else, God. Whoever. That's sad. I don't know who else. Eli Whitney.
I like ours because we would have real people. We would have real teachers or police officers, military people
in the community and stuff. You got to see that. That's a huge piece though, is visibility.
And this is the South. The South is like people. Again, I feel like I'm not a liberal, and I still feel like they're worse. They're more racist, really, than the South. You have to until you lived in the South. And dealt with it. It's a different kind of racism. They're definitely racist, but it's a different kind. It's a different kind of racism.
I didn't tell you about this, and we were running out of time, but I went to church on Sunday. My daughter's in the choir, so she was singing. And so I went to church, and I was sitting like in the third row back. And right before Mass started, a family of like 6 came in. Black family. We have a lot of Kenyans in our area.
Yes.
So the church is mostly white. It's older white Catholic church. They walk in, the only pew available is the very front pew. So they come and sit down. The church is in a U shape, right? With the altar in the middle. So you can see everybody. They sit down, and I'm sitting here observing. First of all, beautiful family. Like, I can't even express. Locks, beautiful, just beautiful. And they're adult children, all adult children and older parents. And I was like, okay. Like, I was kind of like, okay, everybody. Eyes, neck, craned, staring.
You did too, so it's
no. Well, I mean, I noticed them come in because they came in right before Mass started, but just the entire time, all I witnessed was staring.
Oh, okay.
It was, I mean, you acknowledge somebody walking in, but I mean, they were staring, and it started to make me angry. I started to get hot inside. Like, can you let these people? They come to worship too. Leave them alone. I mean, just looking at them, and it wasn't a negative look, but it was a look. Like, stop looking, stop staring. Like, I don't know.
They couldn't deny the beauty.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I can't speak for other people, but I know when I looked, it was like someone like me here, because I literally was the only darker shade of something in the room.
How is that worship? I feel like religion is such a personal and spiritual thing. Like, that's one of the places I want to feel safe and a part of something. Yeah. So how is that going to a religious institution where you are other? Like, I don't even know. Like, I know I have been in that situation, and that's why I'm not now. And I found one, like we talked about before, in Agape, but that's in one place. That's in one city. Yeah. They have other places that try to be similar, but they're nothing compares to Agape.
I've always been one of the onlys, or I mean, Catholic Church is a lot of Filipinos, so I felt, at one with that. But you don't see a lot of Black parishioners in any place that I've ever lived, but you don't see a lot of Black people, period, any place that I've really ever lived. But I think one of the great things is one of the deacons is from Mexico, and one of the deacons was from is Black. I don't know where from. He has an accent. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
But the homily, which made me tear up a little bit, the Mexican deacon was talking about, he had just come back from Guatemala, and he was talking about all kinds of stuff that's going on there, and how the indigenous people were running to the hills. People were running to the hills to escape being killed. I mean, this is what refugees are dealing with, and he kind of gave a real, like, this is what's going on there. And he said, and this is what God calls you to do, is to clothe and feed your neighbor, your brother, house them, take care of them. And you have all these immigrants, these people coming, we're all children of God. This is getting real churchy or whatever, but it hit me like you are here, you are Catholic, you are worshiping God. God is in every person. So if you turn away somebody, you're turning away the light, God. the earth, the whatever of God, whatever. And it was interesting, because I'm looking at all these people who were just staring down this family, and I'm like, are you here? Are you receiving this message? Are you hearing this? Like, there's God in all of us. And you are called by God to acknowledge that in every person you come across, and that's one of the children of God. It was, I don't know.
That's one of the confusing things, because it's like, a lot of times I feel like people who aren't Black, especially like white or European people, see the God in us that we can't see for ourselves. They see something in us, some magic in us that we can't even see in ourselves. And it's almost like they want to suppress it. Like, oh, you can't have that because you're too powerful. You're too powerful. If you knew your power,
I think that is a fear. I think that is the fear. I think that is the fear. And I think it's, especially when talking about like Karens and white fragility and stuff, I've seen all this on TikTok with the Black woman train. There is a need for white women to co-opt and take things because they don't have anything of their own. And so for us to constantly be showing we're innovating, we're creating, we are just doing all the time, the capability that we have. I think there is I don't want to say jealousy, but there is an idea that we are a strong people, that we are, even though we say we don't want to be all the time, we are a strong people, overcome quite a bit, resilient. I don't know the words, but just, I mean, you give us shit, we will make it beautiful. You know what I mean? We will make
resilient. We will do Phoenix.
Yes, like that's the whole sentiment I'm trying. Yes, just rising from the ash. Like, no matter what happens, we will find a way to overcome and to make it beautiful again. And I think that that's something that is scary to people who have never faced that type of adversity or that type of hardship, to have to overcome and make it beautiful. And so I think that's scary for them. If we got control of this country, imagine the overcoming and the making it beautiful that we could do. I think they're afraid of that.
But also, like, these people, they're mad, but they steal the ideas and get 20 million more views and follows and clicks and endorsements than the Black people. This is common. And even you sent me something where this woman was saying the N-word, or had a reel playing the N-word.
Oh Lord. Yes.
And all I did was post a Dave Chappelle thing, and I got banned. Like, my post got banned for violating community guidelines. But she's posting people actually saying the word and stuff.
And with a hard ER.
Yeah. So it's like, it's set up against us. Why? That's China. Maybe China's trying to enforce the rights.
I mean, who's working to do the review? I wonder about that too. Is it all AI, or
they're humans?
It's people, and what type of people are looking at it? I'm sure it's not their DEI at their workplace isn't DEI in or whatever.
It's messed up, though. That really made me mad. Like, how are they able to get away with that? And I'm getting kicked off,
But the thing that makes me mad, though, is that people are stitching those videos and elevating her voice.
Thank you for reminding me, because I was going to.
Yeah, I was
going to stitch.
It's hard because you got to give context to what you want to say in response to that. But the best thing we probably could do is ignore all these stupid people saying stupid shit and let them just wither away somehow. But I am shocked. I mean, all the content and stuff that's created, like the stuff that goes viral is like, for real?
Right?
What did you do? You know, one, it's either stolen and no credit given, or two, it's, what the hell is it? So I think that's why the Black follow train was so important. The Black women follow train was so important, is just the engagement. We're following, we're liking, we're commenting, we are sharing, we are uplifting voices. Because I think that's what's happening on the other side.
Yep.
So I don't know.
Well, happy Black History Month.
Shit. No, you did it.
I got a Black History life. Shoot.
All right. On that
love
note.
you.
I love you too. Bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of Two Girls Shooting the Shit with Em and Mo. Please enjoy this mindful moment. In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth, or to step back into safety.